Welcome again, everybody, to another episode of the ShopNotes Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Huber, joined today by John Doyle. Logan Whitmer is on assignment. Today is episode number 136, where we talk about the things in the shop that we avoid doing. Today's podcast is brought to you by Shaper Tools. They're the makers of the Shaper Origin, the handheld CNC router that brings digital precision to the craft of woodworking. You can tackle joinery, cabinetry, hardware installation, and more with speed and precision. Try it risk-free in your shop for 30 days. Visit shapertools.com to learn more. We just completed an episode of the TV show, Season 17. And as always, and I find this is to be the case in my own shop, and even when I'm working here, is that it's kind of chaos until the very end. And then you're faced with, do you leave the chaos until you need to come back to the shop and then clean up? Or do you do the right thing and clean up before you have to come back?
Right. For me, I think the easiest thing is to leave it. Just because at that point I'm just ready to walk away. But the right thing is just to clean it up. So usually I just leave it until things kind of get built up and built up and built up, and then it's just one big like cleaning and organization session. And then, you get it all cleaned, you get it all organized, and then for a while it's like, okay, now I'm going to put each thing away. I'm going to clean up every little thing, stay organized until something breaks the momentum and it turns into chaos again.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, because I noticed that this morning when we were filming, I was going to clean out the bandsaw, which is another tool that I avoid dealing with. You just kind of walk up to the bandsaw and expect it to turn on and work. And this time when I turned on the bandsaw, it was like this shower of sawdust falling out of it. And I opened up the doors, and it was kind of jam-packed with all kinds of layers of debris. So I went to clean it out with the dust collector, but I wasn't getting a lot of suction from the dust collector. So went back around the wall. Dust collector bag is jammed full. So it's like you try to do the right thing, and then you end up with like 3 other projects. Clean out the bandsaw, now clean out the dust collector.
Yep. Yeah, I always find that cleaning out tools after you drop, like say you drop the washer for the table saw down into all the sawdust, and you got to stop and clean out, or you have to change stuff out. It's a momentum killer. It's a momentum killer. So. But these things got to get done, So.
Yep. And I found when, like today, I didn't really want to do any of those things, but then I ended up just starting in on it, and that was emptying the dust collector bag. And then you kind of develop a momentum then. And it becomes a little cathartic, where it's like, this is the end of that one episode. We finished up Shop Notes, got that out the door for that issue. And it's like, this is what I need to do to just kind of recenter and refocus, rather than just, play Minesweeper or watch videos on TikTok or something like that. Instead, it's, do something that's a little bit productive.
Right.
Procrastinate forward.
Right. Yeah, I think that it really helps when you get done with a big project, or we get done with the magazines here, get those out the door, and you kind of have that brain drain, and you don't want to think about things. It is cathartic to do cleaning. Like, you're not really thinking about anything; you're just getting stuff done. Whether it's like cleaning, or it's kind of like going out into mow. You're just mowing. You're walking up and down. You're getting something done. You're not really thinking about it. So it gives your brain a little bit of a rest, but you're still moving forward and getting something done. So, yeah, I think that's
a good way to think about it, is like with mowing. I like that idea. So I was trying to think of other Here's another thing that I think is easy to overlook, at least in my woodworking shop at home, and I know we do it here. And part of it's because it's a shared space, but like drill bits. The drill press is one of those tools where it's like our drill press in the shop has a little foam holder for the chuck key. But I know that I have to really work at it to remember to put the chuck key back in the little holder instead of just setting it down on the table or behind me on the router table or over on the jointer. And then, when you're doing a bunch of drilling, you like pop out one bit, put another one in. So what do you do with the other bit? It should go in the drawer where it belongs, but it doesn't. It just goes on the little cart just below the drill press. And now we have like a laundry basket of drill bits. And then you go to find one that you're looking for, and it's like, I don't know where to start.
Yeah, especially when we have several sets going on of bits, and it's like, which one? And then you like you said, you're throwing all those down there, and then it's like, which set did this go to? And you're trying to figure out, putting everything back together and all that stuff. So, and like you said, it's tough with a shared shop because it's like we're all guilty of just kind of throwing, stuff down and leaving it, and then somebody else will come along. It's like, well, I don't know if they're still using it, so I'm just going to leave it, and I'm going to throw my. So it's a continuous like piling of stuff until it finally breaks and we have cleanup time.
I know in the magazine shop, Mark and Steve, if they have something set up on one of their tools, they have the little blocks of wood that say no or whatever, and things are, you just kind of know to leave it alone because you like having all of your limbs. But it's almost like you need like one of those signs for your dishwasher, where it's like a stop sign where you flip it one way and it says clean and the other side says dirty. It's like we need to do that for some of the tools in the shop here where it's like, it's okay, just keep using it. You can go right ahead. Even though it appears to be set up for something, I'm done with it. And
yeah, right. Little sock that goes on it, like do not disturb type thing on the handle. I don't know. Is that a thing?
Right.
I don't know. Shop tips. We're thinking of shop tips here. I think that could be published.
Yeah, there's no bad ideas, really.
Right.
You just throw out stuff. So anyway, getting the shop cleaned up, it was kind of fun. We did an episode on, almost done with it, on building shop tools, and I picked up, it was one from ShopNotes years and years ago of taking a framing square and turning it into more of a woodworking tool by adding some wood pieces to the short leg of the square and putting a bevel gauge item on there and a little tab so it doesn't, can rest on the side of a workpiece. And I always thought that it was kind of a fun project and that it would be relatively easy to do, but it turns out it wasn't as easy as I thought because I was just trying to blast through it, and I ended up, miscutting a couple of pieces because I kind of mirror imaged some things and ended up having to remake parts, and it's always something to learn.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, and it's kind of fun. It's fun being able to take a tool and make it your own. So I got it done mostly for what we needed for video, and then I was just in amongst the cleaning and straightening up here. I did some fine-tuning on some bits and pieces with it, so it's pretty fun that way.
Yeah.
So what do you have going on here, John?
So what I'm working on lately is we've gotten our issue of Shop Notes out the door. We've started on the next issue of Woodsmith. Actually, next week we're starting photography already on that. So we're knee deep into Woodsmith, the next issue. So I've been working on a router and bit storage cabinet, which Mark did the honors of building the main case and drawers and the doors and getting all that done. And then I've been working on kind of making custom storage for the router bits and router accessories. So that's been kind of fun of just, going through all of our router bit sets and figuring out what would make for good general storage, good specific storage ideas, and kind of organizing all that stuff. So it's been an experience, and it's kind of cool to go through all the spare parts and stuff that we have laying around, nuts and bolts, and just scrapping stuff together. So it's kind of like when we do our readers tips and stuff, just making it look nice, but using up all the spare parts.
Right. What I think is kind of cool about that project is that you took, as the designer from it, you took a previous project that we had and adapted it, because we did a wall-mounted sharpening center.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was kind of where you started with the router bit, or the router storage thing. So what kinds of things did you modify as you made that adaptation?
Like you mentioned, I kind of got inspiration for this sharpening station. It was from an older ShopNotes issue. And as far as the main case is concerned, I sized it a little bit differently so I'd have enough storage up top to put the extra routers and router bases and whatnot there. And then on the inside of it, I added some small drawers for odds and ends parts. And then incorporated a French cleat system for custom bit storage to keep sets of bits together, whether it's style and rail bits, or I think I have a set for all the rabbiting bit parts, keep the bearings and odds and ends all together. Slot cutter set where keeping the extra cutters and bearings and odds and end tools and everything together. So kind of went with size, keeping the main construction the same, and then what was inside of the cabinet was kind of more customized for router bits and storage and accessories and whatnot. So it's what's on the inside that matters,
Yes, that's exactly true.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting also that I like about it is that it's really easy to have a project, and we've done tips before about router bit storage, and it's just, mainly, Swiss cheesing some piece to corral all the bits. But with a router and some other tools, it's more than just bits. Because like you said, it's bearings and the little Allen wrenches that go with it, and the wrenches for your router, and guide bushings and edge guides and all the other assorted gear that you just, I don't know, that's easy to overlook or disregard or something like that. So It's kind of nice to be able to have something that thinks of all of those things.
Right. Yeah, the cabinet that we have under our studio router table has pullouts for router bits, so it's got all the half-inch holes and quarter-inch holes that you can stick all your bits in. And then we have a drawer underneath. It seems like everything else just kind of gets thrown in that drawer. So everything's just kind of rolling around and rattling around. So it's nice to kind of package the things that need to get packaged together and keep those all together, and keeps them sharper, longer, and easier to find, rather than kind of just digging and looking for bits and pieces. Or like with the rabbiting bit set, it has a special Allen wrench, so rather than going to look for the Allen wrench set, you have the one Allen wrench that you need there. And kind of like we said, that you don't want to lose momentum anytime you have to go look for parts or changing out router bits, and so keep everything together and keep things moving along. So hopefully it really helps with that.
Yeah. I like having the flexibility. I mean, because I know that you were working on some specific examples for things, like the style and rail set or the slot cutter rabbiting bit. But, there's also the ability to, that kind of gives you the idea to customize to your own sets. But then also there's a flexibility where, when you're in the middle of a project, and you just kind of pull out a round over bit and you need to swap it out for a straight bit, like things don't have to go in their exact perfect spot in order to maintain the organization. There's enough extra holes and flexibility to be able to just find an empty hole, plop it in, everything's organized without it being the outlines of the tools on the pegboard wall kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, the other thing is everything, all of the little bit storage stuff that I did, I had everything so it's removable, so you can either take it down and have it on the little work area or take it with you over to your workbench and then bring it back and whatnot. So it's not just stuck in that cabinet. You can take groups of things with you and just, like you said, be more versatile and whatnot.
All right. In other news, I was working on a mid-century modern dining room table for my sister recently and was finished with it, and it was sitting around here at the studio, and I was kind of worried about it getting dinged up or knocked around or whatever. So I finally got it delivered to my sister for in time for Thanksgiving. So that'll be kind of fun to be able to enjoy that with the family, and it was fun to see her reaction on it. So the next up project is the sideboard. I've mentioned that in past episodes, and I got a good start on it. I'm basically down to drawers and doors on it, which is kind of cool. I'll put a link or a photo of both of those projects as they stand now on the show notes page. So that's been kind of cool to see those projects. You'll also see the sideboard project in an upcoming issue of Popular Woodworking. So it's kind of fun now in a way that we have 3 woodworking magazines that we're working on. We got ShopNotes and Popular Woodworking and Woodsmith, and there's just a lot of collaboration and sharing ideas. That's kind of fun to be able to see how different people work and to see different personalities come out in each one of those titles. So we're having a few internet connectivity issues, so I think I'm going to cut this podcast short for today. I want to thank Shaper Tools for sponsoring today's episode of the podcast. They're the makers of that Shaper Origin. It's that handheld CNC. Looks a little bit like R2-D2 plus a router, and it brings digital precision to the craft of woodworking. You can tackle all kinds of stuff: joinery, cabinetry, hardware installation, and more. They have a thing going on right now where you can try it risk-free in your shop for 30 days. Check them out at shapertools.com. If you have any questions, comments, or smart remarks, I want to hear about it. And you can send those as an email to woodsmith@woodsmith.com or leave them in the comments section on our YouTube channel. And we'll see you next week, everybody, for another episode of the ShopNotes Podcast. Bye.